Hello, entrepreneurs, dreamers, business owners, and happy people with high hopes. Welcome to Cashflows with your host, Cash Matthews.
All right, welcome to the Cashflows podcast. We're glad you're here. I am Cash Matthews. I'm your host for the day, and really excited about this show, what it means to the local economy, what it means to entrepreneurs. And we talk about those questions that matter in life, and they can be business related or life related or relationship or money or any of those exciting things. And we come to it from an entrepreneurial standpoint, as I've been an entrepreneur pretty much my whole life. 42 years I've been in my thing.
Wow.
And I know that when I got started, the people that brought me into business all quit, and there I was on my own. And it would have been nice to have some guidance, and I just didn't have it, and I had to sort of figure it out myself. And, you can kind of feel stranded when you start a business on your own. And I think one of the things about entrepreneurship is it's kind of lonely. And so this podcast is for those people who are trying to get to the next step. And, we learn how to copy off of our neighbors. While that's prohibited in third grade, I found out. It is also a great way to build your business and your brand. So we call that Fire, Aim, Ready. And that is just a philosophy about taking action. It's not about taking perfect action, just taking action of some sort. Because, Kenneth, as you and I both know, something poorly done but done is way better than something perfectly but not done. So poorly done is better than perfectly not done. Well, let's work on a meme for the day that we can post up.
Sure.
And we'll work that out. So Fire, Aim, Ready. And with that, I am ready to introduce my co-conspirator here in business and in the Cashflows podcast, the executive producer of Cashflows, Mr. Kenneth Bauckham. Kenneth, good morning.
Good morning. How's it going, Cash?
I am having a tremendous day. We got to have some great coffee and some breakfast, and we are fired up. We have Dine here today, a friend of ours from the B.O.N.G group. We'll introduce him in a minute.
Sure.
But, things are going well.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. And I know we've got a lot of interested listeners out there tuning in to find out what's going on today in the cash flows world. And we're sponsored by the Tulsa B.O.N.G, a group full of entrepreneurs that are just trying to make it work, right? And I was wondering, maybe you have a piece of daily wisdom for us today from your experience that can help us all learn a little bit how to do things a little better.
Good experience ultimately comes from bad experience. And I'm the guy that was always willing to fail to make something work. I am a guy that I have been fire, aim, ready my whole life. And so if I share something, it's because I tried it, probably failed at it. We started this networking group, and we invited 500 people, and we failed. And we had food for 100 people at the very first event, and 3 showed up. So we were able to make a generous donation to the food bank that day. But the point is, Fire, Aim, Ready is a philosophy of business about trying something, just like we tried this podcast that has been so very successful. Now up to 9 listeners in the metro area.
Yeah, right.
So we're doing pretty well. But I want to share just a nugget on what is networking and how to network. And these are quick. These are going to be 2-3 minutes where we talk about something I've learned. Networking is spelled very similarly to not working. And I believe in networking with a purpose. And the purpose of networking for me that has been successful for decades is very simple. It is to make friends. And through those friends, let the world know that I exist. A lot of people come to networking events and they want to pass out their cards and they kind of want to get on your leg like a poodle in heat. And that's not that good. So we really try to take a friendly approach to networking. That is, say yes to everybody who wants to get to know you, because you do not know where your next referral partner, friend, we're taking a trip at the end of the month with 12 of our friends.
Yeah.
And I didn't know any of these people a year and a half ago. I met them through networking, and we've become friends. And there's no higher value for me as a human than to go make friends with people. And as the Unleash the Champ guy, Kyle Sullivan says, meet people, make friends, and the money will follow. How soon? I don't know. That depends on how well you do it. At every networking event, there is a thing going on that is unspoken and kind of weird. And this is what hinders true networking. And if you get a group of most networking groups around 20 people show up a month or 80,
Sure.
whatever the number is.
Sure.
And you have 20, 30 people there, and everybody is there to network, but also they are there to sell something. And if you imagine a room full of people there to sell something, but how many of those people are in that room to buy something? And the answer is probably, usually, 0.
Yeah.
So if you know that going in, the only way to keep your networking group or community fresh is to skip that step of I'm here to sell something. And I get it. If you're new in business and you've got a mortgage payment due, you probably need to do that. But I want to tell you this, whatever day this is you're listening, today is the 3-year anniversary of exactly 3 years ago.
Yes, it is.
And it takes about 3 years to build a proper networking influence where you can be first in line for whatever's happening.
That's awesome.
And so we don't use business cards. We literally just schedule time to meet one-on-one, and those one-on-ones are really get to know you. I'd like to know whether you like ketchup on your hot dog than about your business process. So,
Sure. Yeah.
Kenneth, thank you for that question.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, if you want to learn more about networking, you can email me at cashflows@tulsabong.com, and I'm happy to answer any questions or schedule a one-on-one or a phone call. We are here to promote entrepreneurship. We are here to promote you and the good life, and that you might have all the success you deserve. Does that make
Awesome.
all the sense in the world?
Oh, absolutely.
I appreciate you asking that. So we are here today to bring in an entrepreneur that you can copy off of. We love the copy off of your neighbor concept. For me, that's how I got through grade school. And once third grade was the 2 toughest years of my life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and my Aunt Dorothy was my original teacher and caught me copying off of a neighbor. But our good friend Justin Dine is here this morning. He has agreed to allow us to copy off of his success. So, Justin, good morning.
Good morning, Cash.
We are very glad you're here. Our studio audience approves.
I'm glad.
So, before we dig into his business is Gutters Clean, and you can find him at gutters-clean.com, gutters-clean.com. You can find Justin Dine on Facebook. You can find him in the Tulsa B.O.N.G group as well,
Yes.
if you want to make a connection there and schedule time to learn more about you and to allow you to learn more about them. So once again, thanks for coming on this bleary, dreary morning.
You're welcome.
I'm imagining sunshine.
Oh, yeah. It's very sunshiny right here in the studio at Elevate Coworking.
Yeah, and I'm also 6'3" and lots of muscles.
That's what I saw.
So I'm visualizing today. But Justin, thanks for being here.
You're welcome.
And
Thanks for having me.
We met you through this odd group called the Tulsa B.O.N.G.
Yes.
And we always like to get our guests' experience with the Tulsa B.O.N.G. because it's got a weird name. I was on the debate team. I had no idea what a bong was until a Tulsa B.O.N.G. member showed me one earlier last year. And it looked like a French harp to me or something like that. But tell us about your experience with the bong.
It's been great. The one-on-ones are fantastic. The whole idea of being there to get to know people instead of just handing out business cards and not getting any return on them. As you know, we own multiple businesses.
Right.
My wife, too. And, of course, her thought was, the bong, can they not come up with a different name? Do they not know what a bong is?
I literally didn't.
And so she was really hesitant about going to any of the events.
Right.
And I finally got her to go to the Christmas event.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, at the square there.
Right.
And she enjoyed that. And, we've actually gotten business from the bong and doing one-on-ones and talking to people
That's
online.
That's kind of how it works. You just have to let people know who you are.
Yeah.
And they'll buy from you in their own time.
Yeah.
Like we have realtors in our group, and if you're a realtor, the average person changes houses, I think, every, 7 years, I've heard.
Yeah.
And so I may not need a realtor today, but I sure do want to know one and be friends with one. And just because I don't need the product, well, I might be able to refer something to that realtor before I actually need it. And so it's a unique concept.
And you're building your own network.
Right.
So like what I do with gutter cleaning, let's say I'm cleaning someone's gutters and they go, hey, can you power wash my house?
Right.
Well, I'm trying to stay in my own lane.
Right.
And that's the problem that entrepreneurs have is they start to chase that nut.
Oh, yeah. They want to be everything
They want to be
to
everything
everybody.
and they get out of their lane. And just because I have a piece of equipment doesn't mean I should do another job that I can do with that equipment.
Right. And you might be better off to bring in a power washer that you know, like, and trust.
Correct.
And go, hey, I'm doing these deals. Let's collaborate.
Yeah.
Because we don't want the power wash guy being the gutter cleaner.
Yeah.
And then that way we build business together. And as long as we keep that schedule full for each other, and that's been the uniqueness of the B.O.N.G. When I'm able, so the B.O.N.G. is a big networking group, almost 5,800. We just hit 5,700 yesterday.
Wow.
We're almost 5,800 today. And it'll probably be, because of this podcast and everybody's influence, probably be 10,000. And if you start to think about that, but like you mentioned, and that's a great point, is the B.O.N.G. is a networking group full of little networking groups. And then those networking groups are less formal, but more stated in that, hey, I'm going to ABC power washing, or maybe you're cleaning gutters and you realize they have a roof problem.
Yes.
And then you've got a roofing partner inside the B.O.N.G., and we've got a lot of we are blessed with great roofing people.
Yes.
Some of these people, like we had Jeremy Newkirk on here, that guy is quality, and Sean English is coming in. He's and I'm Kathy King is one of my favorite people. She works for Apex. So I'm not calling out one roofing, but we have some really great roofing people. And one of the problems in that industry is it's, I don't know what the right word, but you have a storm.
20 of them come.
54 tried to join the B.O.N.G. after the last storm, but we've had these other 3 or 4 roofers in the B.O.N.G. since day one.
Yeah.
And, but you've got to have partners out there for what you do. And once you partner with them and then they partner with you, then all of a sudden we literally have a community that's doing things for each other that is just remarkable. And I love that. That's probably the comment of the day, that we build subgroups. The B.O.N.G. is a group full of smaller networking groups. And that's very well stated. So thank you for that. And we tried to work on the jokes this morning about keep your mind on the gutter, and we'll work on that. And we know that you have a big formal celebration every year that you host at a bowling alley called the Gutter Ball. Right?
I'm pretty sure
Not yet. We're working on it.
Well, I'm renting a tuxedo for our prom this week. If I could just hold that over for a week, and then we'll meet over at Andy B's for the Gutter Ball.
Yeah, that'd be great.
We actually should do that on the Sunday after. That would be hilarious. So now you are not originally from the Tulsa area, nor am I. Correct. I want to find out how you got here.
Okay. You want the Reader's Digest version or the long version?
Well, we've got 4 hours for
you.
Okay, 4 hours.
So we got 4.5 hours. Yeah.
Or a couple of minutes, whatever feels the best.
I grew up in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Ooh, Erie, PA.
Yeah,
okay.
Erie, PA, where all it does is snow.
Right.
There's 2 seasons there, winter and construction. and like, it doesn't snow here in Tulsa. People say it snows.
Right.
No.
That's
where
right.
I grew up, they forecast in feet.
Yeah.
It's 3 feet at a time.
Right.
If it was less than a foot, it's light flurries. Okay.
Right.
That's where I grew up at. I don't like the cold.
Right.
I moved to Branson, Missouri to go to school.
Okay.
I graduated from College of the Ozarks.
All right.
Kind of hung out there for a while, got married, owned businesses there in Branson, owned rental property in Branson.
Right.
Got divorced.
Okay.
Lost all of that in my early 30s.
All right.
Got remarried. And my wife and I were supposed to, in college, I felt like I was supposed to go into seminary afterwards, after going to the ministry.
Yep.
And it didn't happen. I had a friend that was killed, and it kind of threw me in a loop where I was mad at God.
Okay.
Okay. And just kind of got off that track, got married, bad relationship, all that kind of good stuff. But my wife and I was working for Gary McSpadden at the time, and kind of in ministry with Gary. And I asked my wife if we had met years ago, would we have gone to Rhema? And she was like, I was hoping you'd never ask me that question.
Ooh.
So I said, well, we can't let all this other circumstance stuff we have going on with custody cases and stuff stand in the middle of what God's got for us.
Sure.
So in the middle of it all, we packed up and moved to Broken Arrow to go to Rhema.
Wow.
And
so there was chaos in your life when you moved?
Oh, yes.
Because those are the stories that people want to hear. Like, hey, we felt the fear and we did it anyway.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We had a home there in Branson. We had tried to finance it on our own. Couldn't get financing. The bank was like, nobody can give you financing. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Putting it nicely.
Wow.
The people that own the home said, we feel this is your home. We're going to finance it anyway. So we did an owner finance on it.
Wow.
And we had gone through all this, trying to get it loan put in our name. And literally just before we moved down here, I told my wife, well, the Lord's telling us not to rent, but to own something.
Right.
And she's like, I don't want to go through that again. Not again. So we contacted, a mortgage company here. And she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, maybe this is a starting off point. Maybe she knows like a private investor or someone that can help us. Because if we both went through divorces, so our credits were trashed.
Right.
So I remember we were packing up the U-Haul, and we get a call from the mortgage company saying, hey, don't do anything. This hasn't gone through underwriting. We don't know if this is even going to go through.
Oh, my gosh.
And, it was on and off the whole time. Ask my wife about this story when you get her in for the podcast.
Yeah, I can't wait to get her in here. Now that I've got some backstory.
So we packed. My wife's like, what are we doing? I'm like, we're moving. We're moving on faith.
Mm-hmm.
We were actually halfway down here with the U-Haul when we got a call from the mortgage company that said, yeah, we're closing this morning.
Oh, okay. Sometimes you have to take a step to realize God's already taken the step.
Yes. And then when we got here, I had been down here working because that was one of the requirements of the mortgage company was that I have a job here. So I was working as a subcontractor. And I knew there was nothing going on with the house because I'd been around and all that kind of stuff. So the realtor, we go into the house. She wants us to turn on the heat, and we hear glub, 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 glub. There's water in the ductwork.
Oh, no. That's a bad
sign. Bad
Yeah.
sign. The realtor she's freaking out. Well, you can't buy this house. We're going to have to back out of it. And my wife and I start praying. And now you got to keep in mind, this process had gone, this was a foreclosed house.
Okay.
So this process had gone through the bank for months trying to get all the stuff put together. And my wife's like, what are we doing? I'm like, we're buying a house. We have come way too far for this not to be God.
Right.
And she's like, okay. So we went to closing, signed on the dotted line, came home. And I was like, what are we doing? And we shot backed out the ductwork and shot backed out the ductwork and shot backed out the ductwork. And the Lord finally told us how to stop it.
Yeah.
So we dug a pit in the backyard and gave the water somewhere else to go.
Okay.
Dug about a 4-foot pit in the backyard and put a grinder pump and kicked it out to the street. And since we've done that, we've put in a concrete dry well back there. And again, we got the drain tile and stuff going out to the road. We've had no problems.
Wow. And how long has that been?
14 years.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So big time solution. You move on faith.
Moved on faith.
You're on the road. Yeah, that's a great God story right there. Like you
Yeah.
did it anyway.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But there had to be fear.
Oh, definitely.
I think a lot of Christian people, I don't know. I mean, I've been a believer since I was 13, and I messed up and I prayed for courage,
Mm-hmm.
and God was like, yeah, I got some of that. Let me send you some courage, but you only need courage where fear is present, and so that's when I stopped praying for courage.
Stepping into the world of being an entrepreneur, there's plenty of fear.
There is, and you know what? It is. The danger is real, but the fear is optional.
Yes.
And I mean, there is danger. You may go broke. You may not be good enough. There may the economy. There's any myriad of excuses that can knock you down.
Mm-hmm.
But one of those is being brand new to the area and just getting started. And
Yeah.
you don't know a lot of people. How did you overcome that as you began to go to work?
Well, I was working as a subcontractor for Dish Network at that time period.
Okay,
I'm basically self-employed.
but that was a pretty steady gig.
Not as steady as you'd think.
Okay,
Okay. Because how the subcontracting works is it was great. And then there's the off season,
right.
and they made a whole bunch of promises. We got down here, moved in, put all of our cash into moving here and buying the house. Cause remember it was tied up through the close for about 3 to 4 months where I was commuting back and forth from Branson to the Tulsa area.
Oh boy.
Wow.
And so we burned through all of our cash, got a custody issue going on.
Right. And those two things combined create legit. I mean, the danger is real,
Yeah.
but the fear has to be optional, and you did it anyway.
We did it anyway. And during that time period, we had a custody issue with my ex. We were going to school at Rama, both of us. Money was tight.
Oh, yeah.
And I ended up getting behind on child support. Big thing not to get behind on.
Real danger.
Real danger. My ex went to the prosecutor, and I found myself in some legal action, facing some prison time and things like that. Again, we're going to talk faith.
Yeah.
Because what ended up happening with this story is I ended up contacting the prosecutor saying, hey, and he wanted me to meet with him. Didn't know who he was. I drive 3.5 hours. I'm in court. I drive 3.5 hours. I'm meeting with him before the court case, and I'm facing 3 years in prison. Okay. And the Lord had talked to me the whole time. He's telling me, never will I leave you. Never will I forsake you. And I watched this prosecutor go from a guy who's prosecuting me to an advocate in front of the judge.
Wow.
Yeah, he advocated for me. He got a continuance on my behalf. This is the prosecutor. And he worked it out with me. He says, look, get yourself something that's paying consistently. And in 90 days, if you're showing effort, we'll drop the whole thing.
Praise God. That's awesome.
Yeah. But talk about fear.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When they dangle a little prison time over you, that's scary.
And you don't know the prosecutor because he was a new prosecutor. You don't know if this guy is one of these guys who's looking for more notches on his belt to climb the political ladder.
Wow.
You're facing going to the court for prison time, and you are behind. So, I took a job at DirecTV at that time period because it was the consistency thing.
Right.
In the back of my head, I was always still entrepreneurial. You go through times in your life, and got through all that. That's all in the past now, and we can laugh about it now.
Well, that's the whole point of going through it, is not to roll around in it all of your life.
And came out of that. I ran for political office in 2020.
Yeah, I know about that. I want to get down to that question. And, what takes I don't want to call you ordinary, but just a citizen and an entrepreneur and a husband. I mean, something had to happen. You don't just run for office. Walk us through the process.
No, you don't just run for office.
Where Justin Dine runs for office. First, what office were you running for?
I ran to be the state representative from District 12, which is Wagner County.
Right.
In 2020. And what happened is, you see some of the stuff, and myself, I am very moral, have a high character level, ethics. And the guy that's in the office, I don't want to call it names, but
sure, you don't need to.
Doesn't have that.
We haven't been sued yet, so we're gonna
we're trying to keep
try
it
to
that
stay
way.
lawsuit free.
He doesn't have that. Okay. And there was some things that happened, and I spouted off my mouth and said, I ought to run for office. Kind of got a couple guys talking to me, and we're like, yeah, let's do this. He doesn't deserve to be in office because of ethics and morality reasons.
Right.
So we put a challenge together. Totally had no idea what I was doing. Just jumped in, said, yeah, I'm going to do this.
Wow.
Put my name in there. At first, my employer at the time, I was working for AT&T, DirecTV merger thing.
Right.
And at first, they were really supportive of it. Okay. So I was doing some of the events. We also had COVID at that time period with the shutdown, and that made it really interesting.
Yeah, that's a challenge right there.
It is. So we were committed to it. At first, we had money that was coming in, and then the COVID shutdown, all the money that was coming in dried up from all the donors because nobody knew what was going on.
Yeah, it was a very uncertain time.
Very uncertain. So we were very committed. Once I say I'm going to do something, I do it.
Right.
And we refinanced the house, pulled the money out for the campaign.
Okay.
That's how committed we were.
Wow.
It was a gamble. Again, entrepreneur.
Sure.
We ended up, it was the closest race as far as I know in the state. In 2020, we lost by about 200 votes.
Oh, my gosh.
Against an incumbent. Yeah, came real close.
Wow.
There was a lot of hype. You think you realize how bad things are politically until you step into that world.
Right.
And then you realize it's way worse than you ever thought.
Right.
And
it looks dirty and brutal.
It's very dirty. And there's things that happened, and some of it was, you learn so much.
Right.
We were ahead in the polls, so we kind of backed off at the end because it was all our money we were playing with.
Right.
And you know that if you win, you're going to get it back because you make a loan to your campaign.
Right.
You know you're going to get it back because all of a sudden you have all these donors that want to give you money. So you're going to get that money back. So that's what we did. We gambled. was really, really close. Since then, I've been asked to run for all kinds of offices.
Right.
And some of it, you get offered some money, and you're like, this isn't even ethical, so I'm not going to
Right.
take it.
Yeah, because with that money comes a condition.
Yes.
Or
And,
a responsibility.
or it's not even legal how they do it.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
I don't want to know about that.
Yeah, you don't
part.
want to know about that
I
stuff.
live,
Like I said, there's stuff
I live in this
there's
sweet,
stuff
gentle world
that
where
you
none of
don't
that
want to
stuff
know any of
happens.
that stuff.
Yeah.
But yes, we did. AT&T at that point didn't like that I ran for office and came so close for lots of reasons, which we don't need to go into. And I was informed that I was no longer an asset to the company, but a liability.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
We were already getting ready to leave AT&T, wanted to get back doing our own kind of thing.
Right.
There was more to me than just working on people's TVs. It was secure.
yeah.
Could pay the bills. We had 4 kids. And through that time period, nobody knew what was going on with COVID, and I was working plenty. So we had already bought the school, which my wife does,
Right.
and we were looking to purchase other businesses. And so I got to my 10-year anniversary with AT&T, got tenured in the pension, that kind of stuff, put in all my vacation time, and jumped into being self-employed again.
That was it.
That was it.
Wow. Okay. There's a big question here. You put it all on the line.
Oh, yes.
You run for office.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's based on your beliefs.
Yes.
That's based on your faith. It's based on your character. Here's the question. Would you do it again?
Yes.
Knowing what you know now,
Yes.
would you run that same race again?
Yes.
Because you did it for the right reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And you were compelled to do it.
Yeah, we're considering making another run, not for that office, but for a different one.
Got it. You know, it's a little more interesting when you're in a closed networking group where 5,800 people know you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
And you only lost by a couple hundred votes against an incumbent.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I would tell you not to let that's a salient point, is getting to know people is the right way, to run an election campaign. The more people that you actually know before the campaign even begins, the better off your life is. Well, okay, let's just talk about your life for a second, your personal life. You had children from a previous marriage. How many children total now?
Total, we have a total of 4 kids.
Okay.
None of them are together. We were both married previously.
Right.
So it's a blended family. Blended family. Sorry.
It's happened 57
57
podcasts in a row. So, and most of them me doing it because I gesture wildly.
So we have 2 boys and 2 girls.
All right.
The 2 boys are both 25.
All right.
They are 6 weeks apart.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they grew up, more like friends than brothers.
Oh, that's cool.
And then we have 2 daughters. Our oldest is 21, and then our youngest recently turned 18.
Oh, gosh. Still in high school or out of high school?
She is, and that's another story altogether with her. And it's going to get into some pain.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll do that on our next podcast
Okay.
then. Yeah, we'll get you back out here because we
Okay.
want to keep learning more about you and promoting you. And
Yeah, we just got our first grandbaby last year.
oh, congratulations!
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Emily, our oldest daughter, is married.
So I don't know. I have children. I don't know that they'll ever have children of their own. Is everything they say about being a grandparent? Like, is it awesome?
It is awesome. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Like, get the kids over, get them caffeinated and sugared up, and get them a puppy and a rabbit and send them back home.
Yeah, well, she's not that, but just when she smiles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when you pick her up and she gives you that big smile, or
Yeah,
she
she's
comes running
she's
towards
just
you.
one.
She'll be 1 in February.
Okay. Now that's cool. That's the good life. I mean,
Yeah.
that's better than anything that you could ever accomplish in business.
Yeah.
And that's the good stuff. Well, let's talk about your business, Gutters Clean, gutters-clean.com, gutters-clean.com. And you can go learn a little bit about Justin Dine, the president of gutters-clean.com. So how long have you had your mind in the gutters?
A lot longer than actually in the business of the gutter cleaning. But we started about 3 years ago.
Okay.
And how it started is, like, you already know I was with AT&T. When we were leaving AT&T, my intention was to start a handyman business because I'm a jack of all trades.
Oh, great.
Okay. I went from working for AT&T for working for another contractor, not really doing my own type of thing. And I'm like, I just kind of traded one thing for another. I'm not really doing what I need to do. And I signed up to be a subcontractor for a gutter cleaning marketing company. So basically they market on the internet and they contact me and say, we have such and such job, pay such and such money. When do you think you can do it? So I took that, and the handyman business just morphed into a gutter cleaning company.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So we have about 300 clients in the Tulsa area right now.
Wow. Now, do you install the guards as well, or you just clean out what's
I just
there?
clean out. I'm staying in my lane for
and
now.
God bless you for doing that. Because have you ever cleaned a gutter, Kenneth?
I have attempted to clean my gutters exactly once in 7 years.
Yeah, it is.
So you need to call me.
I should do that. Yes, that's a good idea.
It is like those leaves get up there and
Yes.
rot, and
Yeah.
whatever animals end up dead
Yep.
up there, and roof particles,
Oh, yeah.
and it's messy.
It is messy. And a lot of people don't realize that because you don't see it all the time. And we get calls when it rains, and all of a sudden they realize, oh, everything's overflowing.
Right. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's bad for your house.
That's
It's bad
bad.
for your flower beds.
Oh yeah, it's bad for your foundation.
Yeah.
When they're full like that, water backs up under your shingles, rots
Right.
out the fascia. Your overhang can rot into the roof, and you don't
Yeah.
even see it because it's only overhang, so it's not in your house yet.
Yeah, you're not thinking about it.
Yeah.
You don't think about it. I mean, until it's too late.
Correct.
Yeah, and it's smelly. Like that was my
Oh, yeah.
experience with it. And I think what a lot of geniuses like me do, and I use that word very loosely, is they get up on a ladder and they're either trying to do it by hand, or like me, they take a pressure washer up there on the ladder, and then they're up on the ladder and they've got like a 9,000 pounds per square inch pressure washer, and the minute they squirt it,
And you make a big mess.
the next thing you know, they're laying on the ground. Looking up. And I'm not saying that was me.
Right.
But today's show is sponsored by Fred's Orthopedic Surgery.
I actually have a client that fell off the ladder and messed up his hip, and that's why he calls me.
Well, in my business, I've known multiple people that have fallen off the ladders, either hanging Christmas lights, cleaning out the gutters.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Why a normal human would climb a ladder beyond 3 feet high to do something like
Right.
that? It just defies logic. Like that, there should be an EPA warning on that. Well, so you started out in the handyman business, so
Correct.
you don't do any handyman.
I don't anymore. You know, it's one of those things we talked, and it's a realization about me and being an entrepreneur about staying in my own lane. As an entrepreneur, we have that tendency to want to run after that. We see an opportunity,
Right.
and we want to run after that.
Yeah, extra $200 a day, and I'm not doing anything. Yeah.
I can go do that. But the long-term effect is that you're not growing your business,
Right.
and you want to stay in your own lane. Like I said, just because I have tools to go do some other stuff doesn't necessarily mean I need to do it, because instead of doing that job, I should be working on my business.
Amen. I work on your business and in your business, and you have to make time for both.
Right.
And speaking of time, Kenneth, I believe it's
Yes.
time for a studio break and a commercial from one of our sponsors. Who do we have today, Kenneth?
All right. Well, today we're going to talk about Elevate Coworking. We're here in the luxurious Elevate Coworking podcast studios here at about 91st and Sheridan. Elevate Coworking is where local business owners connect, collaborate, and grow. We offer a community of tools and resources to fuel your passion and your productivity. Elevate your future with us, where success is not just achieved, but celebrated together.
I think you and I are the Chip and Joanna Gaines of the podcasting world.
You could say that.
Do you know who they are?
I do know who
They
they
have
are.
a television show down in Waco, and it's called Magnolia Farms or something.
Something like that.
Like they started their business, and then people flocked to it. And I think one day people will be lined up here at 91st and Sheridan just to
They'll
get a
be
look.
flocking,
at
birds
the-
of a feather.
At
coming
the
together.
legendary Elevate Coworking spot.
Legendary.
Legendary.
Legend, wait for it,
And
dairy.
they've grown that business where now they have their own TV network and
Yeah.
magazine. And
Yes.
Oh, we got kind of a tiny TV network. We got 2 watchers.
That's right. My mom and his mom, I think.
Yeah. All right. We are here with Justin Dine today, and Justin is the founder of Gutters Clean, and you can find him on the web at gutters-clean.com. You can find Justin on Facebook or in the Tulsa B.O.N.G networking page, where he is a prominent figure, and we're glad to have Justin here today. We've heard a little bit about his story about how he arrived in Tulsa, and we are excited about that, but we're talking about cleaning gutters and
Yes.
handyman stuff and staying in your lane.
Yeah.
These are great topics. You know, at the end, we're going to ask you for a golden nugget, like a piece of advice.
Yep.
And as we approach the final part of our show, we're excited to hear. Justin's had some great commentary today. We learned about how you got in the gutter cleaning business. And we were just now talking about why people should do that. And I think it's one of the most overlooked items on a traditional house,
Yes.
pretty much in the country, because there is no part about dirty gutters that's good for your house, and it creates lots of other jobs that need to be done
Correct.
when you could. How often should somebody clean their gutters? First off?
We recommend twice a year, every 6 months.
Okay.
Generally once in the spring and once in the fall. And there's some other areas where you may want to do more than that.
Right.
If you have pine needles,
Oh, okay.
okay, pine needles will get into everything and cause really bad problems.
Right.
Those, if you have a lot of pine needles, we recommend doing it about every 3 to 4 months.
Right. In those areas where there's, yeah, I love trees from a distance.
Mm-hmm.
In my brain, though, they're these big giant weeds that litter your house, and when you have leaves everywhere.
Yeah.
And we're going to try to build a house next year, and we're looking for a place to do that. And we're going to make sure there are no leaves anywhere near the house, no trees anywhere near the house, and we will cut them down. I know people love trees.
Yeah.
You can come and love them in the lumberyard.
You can love them over there.
Yes.
And even if people have gutter guards, they still need to get them cleaned.
Right.
Because depending upon the design of the gutter guard, the debris sits on top of there
Right.
and decays, decomposes. You still end up with the same issue with water getting back up under the shingles or ice dams under the shingles because it has nowhere to go.
So in an area, that was our next question, in an area like Tulsa that has a little bit of ice, not quite like Erie, PA, but how does ice in the gutter, does that affect anything? I mean, that sounds dangerous to me.
It affects stuff if you have debris in there.
Yeah.
If you don't have debris, you still have room for that ice to go. And here in Tulsa, it's generally gone within a day or so.
Right.
So it's going to melt and go down your downspout.
Got
But
it.
if you have that debris there, that has nowhere to go, and it's going to back up under your shingles, and then you got a roof problem.
That's when everything starts to fall apart. Mm-hmm. Got it. Okay. So this is a new industry for me. I've known it exists. I've just never paid attention. You know, it's kind of like your car. Like I remember having a car when I was younger, and the CV joints went out.
Oh, yeah.
I had never heard of a CV joint. The guy said, your CV joints went out. I'm like, yeah, I know my impersonation, or my interpretation of that. What's yours? And I knew people clean gutters because I had done it myself. I hated it. And I'm like, good grief, why am I doing this? So is there competition? Are there other people in Tulsa who do it or in the country that do this?
Yes.
Is this big business?
It is. There are other people here in Tulsa that do. Usually it's like a gutter company or a cleaning company that does it. We do it. That's pretty much all that we do at this time period.
Right.
But yes, it is big business. There are people, I know a couple guys that I talk to online that are millionaires.
Right.
And they just clean gutters.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, get your mind in the gutter if you're
Yeah.
an entrepreneur. Will your business grow to such a stage that you have to hire people to help, or has that already happened?
It has not yet. I know the numbers.
Right.
That's one of the big things is knowing your numbers as an entrepreneur.
Oh, yeah.
I do know the numbers, at which point I will get to that point. And yes, I do want to get off the truck.
Yeah. So, but you just have to get up on a ladder to do this?
Yeah. Or on the roof.
All right. Wow. Yeah, that is so frightening to me. Like you can be assured I will never compete for that job. So let's talk a little bit about the business side. As a business owner, we've all had things we've had to overcome. What are some of the things that you've had to overcome as an entrepreneur, man of faith, but you know, God doesn't need to steer a parked car. You got to be out there doing your thing.
Right.
What are those, I mean, we could probably do 4 or 5 hours here just with the three of us on what we've had to overcome. What have you had to overcome just in Dine?
In the business side, the biggest thing that I've had to overcome is my own head, my own mind, my own thoughts.
Right
Yeah.
You know, just like all of us, we all have failings within our own lives, and it puts into us. You know, so for me, the biggest thing that I've had to overcome is the thought that I'm a failure.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Which is my own demons.
Something you made up, though, because you're not.
It goes all the way back to being a kid.
Right.
And no matter how successful I am, all it takes is that one little thing, and I want to go right back there.
Yeah.
And so that is probably the biggest thing that I've had to overcome, because here recently, as I've jumped out of being in insurance industry and things and trying to stay in my own lane, I've had to overcome that, and it was the realization of how to overcome it, and realizing that have been setting myself up for failure because that was what I was looking for inside of myself subconsciously.
Right.
And how to correct and change that.
Oh, man. So how do you overcome that?
How do you overcome that?
Because our listeners today, I promise you, a lot of us have that same and it's a mechanism. It's
yes.
like a default mechanism that I'm not enough, or man,
Right.
I failed in the 8th grade, or
Yes.
I mean, we're carrying around some anchors and baggage. How do we get rid of those
and it's
anchors
a
and baggage?
subconscious thing that you're not even aware of, where you're setting yourself
Right,
up.
almost like a habit.
Correct. It is kind of a habit.
It's a really it's a bad habit. So
it is.
Tell us how you overcome that.
Man, that's been a struggle. That's the biggest struggle. One of the things that I realized is that I was trying to office out of my home. And in my home, either have the dining room table or the couch.
Right.
And those are places for eating or relaxing.
Right.
So inside of me, I was like, why am I not doing this? Why am I not putting the signs out? Why am I not doing what I need to do? Because I would commit and buy the materials thinking, okay, I'm going to push myself through this. And then they just sit there in boxes. Doesn't do me any good with door hangers and boxes.
Right.
So I started officing at the shop with my wife.
Okay.
It put me into a position where it's a change in my mindset.
Right.
Instead of being, oh, I'm here to, this is where I relax, this is where I watch YouTube, this is where I watch this. Now I have a dedicated space, and it's a change in my mindset.
Right.
So now I'm actually getting things done that I need to be doing in the business. And as far as the internal stuff, a lot of that, it helps to talk to people, helps with a coach, a mentor.
Yeah, big believer in the coaching side of business, for sure.
Are
you using a coach today?
Kind of, but not officially.
Okay. In our networking group, there are some really amazing coaches.
Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle Sullivan. He was actually our very first of these podcasts. Yeah, teaches you how to unleash the champ.
Yep.
And he's been a great asset to this community. And I'm glad that you mentioned his name.
That in podcasts, because there's other people that have gone through this.
Amen. And that's why we're doing this, to put you on this podcast so people could listen to you. Are you reading anything? Are you a reader? You must be.
As a business owner, you have to be.
Right.
Self-development is huge. That's how you overcome a lot of these things.
Are you reading anything interesting right now?
Right now, I'm in Atomic Habits.
Man, just finished that. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I went out and jogged 37 miles, and that book actually elevated my thinking. And I finished it 3-4 months ago, but it is my next reread. So probably mid-February, we're starting that book again. Yeah. And man, you picked that. That's a great one to call out right there. Well, good for you. All right. Well, we are about to wrap up here. We're with Justin Dine, gutters-clean.com, gutters-clean.com, however you say that little thing there in the middle.
Yep. As long as it's a little short, straight line.
Do you say hyphen or dash?
So there's differences on when you use them, and I don't remember all the rules, so I usually just say dash. But
okay.
But yeah.
But
English majors, we apologize, but it's one of those two things.
What if your website was dash home, but would it be dash home?
It depends.
Okay.
Yeah.
You probably use hyphen at that point.
Maybe.
Okay. These are the things that
these are the things that we question. Yes.
Yeah, and it's
the big questions of life.
No wonder I'm where I am at in life based on that, I think. So, Justin Dine, what have you for the? I mean, what a great show this has been, and a lot of this is great stuff. Do you have a nugget, some kind of a golden nugget that our team could take home with them?
Here would be my nugget. Okay, is that you as an entrepreneur, you think you know everything. Because you're wearing multiple hats.
Right.
You don't know near what you think you know.
Right.
And you're not an expert at all of that. So you want to surround yourself with experts in those fields.
Right.
Whether it's through networking or a coach or various things, because sometimes you need to have that outside person looking in at what you're doing.
We all need another set of eyes.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, Kenneth, that's a wrap for today's show.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Have you had a good time?
I have. It's been great.
I did not anticipate an early show being this good.
Hey, but here we are.
Here we are with Justin Dine, gutters-clean.com. Wonderful show, sir. We are thankful for you and our sponsors who make this show come to life every day. And it's a crazy world out there trying to keep it all together by ourselves. His golden nugget is that you need people around you. And sometimes you need another set of eyes, and sometimes you just need a little bit of advice, and a little bit of good advice taken can sure go a long way. So today, let's all be nice to each other. Let's make good decisions for our families. And more importantly, today, let's find somebody that we can forgive, even if they do not deserve it, because after all, haven't we all been forgiven of so many things that we didn't deserve either? And forgiveness is not about that other person, friend. It is for you to take that stone from around your neck and drop it into the deepest ocean we call forgiveness. And I think you get to have a better life that way. So thank you for being here. And this show, it's about you, and we're glad you made it. Thanks for coming to Cashflows.
That's our show for today. Stay tuned for another riveting edition of Cashflows.